Hello there, my name's Ray, I'm with Team S.T.E.A.M, and today I'm out behind Flash Industrial Painting, getting ready to sandblast the chassis on this 2005 Kenworth W900. Now, this is the same company that owns all those other trucks that you've been seeing. If you watch very many of my videos, you know about every other or every third video's got one of these trucks in here. That's because there's a company that has hired me to paint all the trucks that they plan on taking to auction, and they've got a bunch of them going to auction. So this is, I don't know, maybe the 10th one. It's been quite a few. And this is a 2005. I haven't opened the hood yet, so I don't know what I'm going to find in here. And sometimes that gets pretty adventurous. Some of these trucks, the inside of these 900 hoods can get damaged over time, and this is a fairly old truck. So I don't know what I'm going to find when I get inside of there. I can see right here, somebody has, because these guys used to have a vinyl stripe that comes down to a point right here. Years and years and years ago, quarter century ago, I actually worked for them, and I used to install those vinyl stripes. I did it on 40 plus trucks in the few years that I worked there. So I'm very familiar with their vinyl stripes, and somebody had masked down to this stripe and done some touch-up work over the top of the hood. I know I'm going to be dealing with that. There's some other little things. I see a couple decent sized dents in the driver door. Now this chassis, at a glance, that doesn't look bad. That does not look too bad. But then the closer you look, and the further back you go, of course, like I've mentioned in previous videos, the further back you go on a vehicle, the worse the corrosion is all the time. So you can see, this is all bubbled up. You can tell by that hollow sound. See? This is bubbled up. You can actually see it move. Same with this. This was bubbled up and it came off, so it's just solid again. This back here, bubbled up. See, right here, same thing. And that's down both sides, and that's on the inside as well. So I do have my work cut out for me, because the rest of this is probably on here pretty well. But anyway, today I'm gonna go ahead and tackle this, get all this blasted, and get this guy in the shop. Whew. Well, all right, got it all done. It wasn't quite as fun as I was expecting. That stuff was on there. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get my gear cleaned up, get this guy pulled in the shop so we can get started on it. Well, now it's first thing here the next morning, and I'm gonna get the crew started here. They're gonna be in here any minute. I'm gonna get them started. We're gonna go ahead and do what we always do. We're gonna take everything off that we plan on taking off. We're going to wipe it all down with thinner, just because I don't trust that it was never buffed. Because here, again, same issue. Factory clear coat given out. You know, that's the thing. You've heard me go on and on about this. The correct base coat clear coat system applied correctly is almost unbeatable in the automotive paint world. But that almost never happens. There's only a few good base clear systems in the world. There's a million of them, but there's only a few good ones. And there's not that many people that want to apply 2 to 3 medium to wet coats of clear. They all want to put one coat of clear on, even at a factory. They'll put one coat of clear on, it's got the shine, they send it out the door. Well, that makes base clear the inferior system for a lot of vehicles, including work trucks, because this is what happens. You know, this is a 2005, so 19-year-old truck, and that's what it looks like after 19 years. And that's what the single stage looks like after 19 years. From the factory, this is single stage Imron. This is base clear, and you can see. Over and over and over again, you get to see this on my channel, and I've seen it for decades. I'm already well aware of it. And here's this side, just coming out. In fact, all this is base coat. You see, it almost has no clear left on it. So I'm gonna have the crew wipe those down once we get it all taken apart, and then after all that, we're gonna get it all masked up, and then we're gonna start looking for dents, dings, scratches, things like that I can take care of before I turn them loose, fully scratching and sanding everything. However, while the crew's working on that and doing all those initial steps, I'm going to be outside doing a project of my own. You remember that 5600 I just got if you watched this last video. And I've got it running. I did all my maintenance on it and it's running great. And I did a bunch of work with the forks already. Over here next to my house, I used to have a fence just yesterday, and I had a hot tub and a deck that went around the hot tub. I took all that down yesterday and hauled it all out of here with the forks from this, because that's going to get a different setup than it's got. It's going to be a whole different setup than it's got right now, and I'm getting rid of the hot tub. I actually have a swim spa that I got from a guy real cheap, even though it's in perfect condition, and that's what I'm going to begin using in place of a hot tub. So anyway, took the hot tub out, took the fence out, took everything out here, and then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start moving some of this dirt. All of this is way too high. I'm going to put up another carport like that one right down here. And I need to use some of this dirt right here as fill dirt. Right where that cat is, that's not dirt at all. That's sand with a tarp over it. Every fall, after it's been dry for a while, and I know all the sand out here, the sea of sand I'm standing in, is all, it's coal slag sand, black sand. And once I know that it's good and dry all the way through, sometimes it's 6 inches deep, right where I'm standing everywhere. And in the fall, once I know it's good and dry, I'll plow it all up into a pile, and then I'll cover that pile with a tarp, and then I'll use that used sand all winter long, along with new sand for certain things. But I try and use used as often as I can. And that's what that is. And as you can see, it's a wimpy looking pile now because we're at the fall of this year. I've basically used it all up. And so now I'm going to go ahead and pull this tarp off here and get all this sand gathered up. And yesterday I gathered up all of the sand here. Now you can still see sand everywhere, but that's like an inch of sand. I gathered up all the top layer of it, all the heavy amount of it, and put it right here. And then we got 3/4 of an inch of rain last night, which is kind of inconvenient, but it is what it is. So I got this sand pile here. I'm going to get rid of this dirt pile, put it down there, get rid of this sand pile, put it right there, and then I'm going to put up another carport just like that over here, and another carport just like that across the property. All with I'm going to be doing this dirt work, start with this machine, starting here this morning while I got the crew working on that Kenworth. Well, all right, it's first thing the next morning, and I'm out here behind Flash Industrial, and as you can see, I got some digging done here. I got this all kind of leveled out. Got everything leveled out over there about the way I need it, and I got my spot marked where the swim spa is going to go so I can begin adding dirt and leveling that out. But I need to dig a bunch of dirt to be able to put over there. I need to dig a bunch of fill dirt to be able to put over there. A bunch of that fill dirt is right here that I'm going to dig. But what I learned yesterday while I was digging in soft sand. I mean, softer than beach sand, and it's just basically wallowing around in a foot of it. And I got this big pile between day before yesterday and yesterday. Between the 2 days I added this big pile. This is all used, ready to go sandblasting sand. The problem that I found though is that this machine has a check engine light that was on when I first fired it up. I noticed it had an exclamation point. I looked into it, and it's basically a problem light. They say that it could be, anything. It could be one of a million things. It's just a problem light, which is odd. But anyway, when I looked into it, I started looking for everything. You want to check all your fluid levels and your tire pressure levels, because those can all trigger a problem light. And so I did all that, and some of the stuff was low, and so I was happy to have gotten everything up to a proper level. And then I raised the box, and I found a connector just unplugged behind there, electrical connector just unplugged. And I thought, well, that could easily be it. And I plugged it back in, lowered the box, hopped in. Now the light was off. And I was like, perfect, got it solved. But then I went to take off, and it felt like the front wheels were working against the back wheels. One set of wheels was always skidding, whether I was trying to go forward or backward. It was almost like they weren't quite locked up, but they were almost locked up, enough to the point where they were just skidding in the gravel. And I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on, so I unplugged that connector again, and then it worked fine. So that connector being plugged in, whatever it's plugged into, there is an issue there. There's some sort of issue there that threw that light and makes it to where you can't have that plugged in. Well, so I keep it unplugged. Yesterday, when I'm busy digging all this sand, I can easily spin out, and which seems almost impossible in a four-wheel drive vehicle with really good tires on it like that. And so it took me about 1 second to realize that this vehicle doesn't have four-wheel drive. Right now, whatever that was that I unplugged wipes out the four-wheel drive. Right now, it's only front-wheel drive. So I did all this digging yesterday in this soft sand with front-wheel drive, and it did pretty good. I was pretty impressed. Granted, I don't want a full-time front-wheel drive. I wanted a four-wheel drive. That's a huge selling point for me. If I had known it was only two-wheel, I never would have wanted it. But it's not two-wheel. It's four-wheel, and it's just got some problem. I look up the problem, and they find out that they say it could be any one of a number of things, but most likely it's just like a connection that came undone or a bad ground. Something electrically has kind of gone awry, is what they're saying is probably the problem. And that makes a ton of sense with this vehicle, because this vehicle is low hour and in great shape, but one of its other defining characteristics is just the sheer amount of rust that's on it. I mean, there's rust everywhere. Every single bolt is rusted. Everything is rusted. And I'm not complaining. That's the only reason I got into it, as cheap as I did. But because it is so rusty, look at that. Look at that connector. I've very seldom in my life seen one in that kind of shape that is still being used. So that one's terrible. This one's terrible. Look, that side of the bolt broke off. Look how corroded that is. And they say a bad ground or a bad connection can cause the issue with the four-wheel drive. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got some new cables meant to splice into these cables. And I'm going to take this battery out here this morning, take these cables loose, cut them off, and splice in my new cables. And these are cables that are meant to be spliced, so this isn't a hokey deal. Splice in my new cables, clean up all the connections, put them back on here, and see if we can't get that four-wheel drive working before I start digging dirt. Because I can dig sand, and that's okay, but dirt's a whole different deal. Dirt doesn't scoop as easy as sand does, and I need all four wheels turning to be able to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do today is try and get that solved. All right, and here it is with this end here that is closest to us, dug out. It's dug out a little more than 6 inches. And then I've got the gravel put in place, couple loads, got it all smoothed out. It's all leveled out. Next, I'm going to put a layer of sand on it, level that out, and then we're actually ready to place this thing. At this point, the crew's got everything all masked up, or most everything masked up, enough that I can get going on what I got to do anyway. And one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to grind these flat. They're actually domed up quite a bit. They bend over time with that dome shape of that piece that rides on top of them, and they'll just eventually dome up 100% of the time, whether they're fiberglass or whatever. So get rid of all these, grind them flat, do my prep on the inside, and then do my fiberglass repairs on the inside, and have a closer look inside the fenders, make darn sure I didn't miss anything. Now I've got both these sides prepped the same. Nice and gouged up with 24 grit. And a lot of times, you'll see me do inlay on a lot of these. I prefer to do inlay when I can't get to the backside. And sometimes I'll do inlay anyway, because sometimes it just works out. But on this, I didn't want to do any kind of inlay because I can get to the backside, and that's an easier prep rather than gouging out half of this. But more importantly, when the fiberglass is domed out, like all three of these are, and then you go digging clear into it to do some inlay, sure, you're going to have inlay, but when you think about it, because it was domed on the back, your repair is going to be considerably thinner than the rest of the fender is, because it was domed on the back and you didn't address it. So instead, I'm just addressing the concave portion of it rather than the convex portion of it. And this way I'll just be filling it from the backside, and it'll be every bit as thick as the rest of the fender. And that's why I haven't dug these down very far. There's no need. Now, like the rest of these are just, all I did was just get rid of the gel coat and gouge up the surface like I should. And then I'll just do body work over the top of them, since the backside will have the fiberglass repair. All right, we're getting some scratching done. Like I said, the goal today is to try and get all the wet sanding primer on, so we're scratching all the rivets around the doors. Got half the body work finished over there, not glazed yet, and then this half just laid out. I'll be finishing it here in a second. And up front here, got the initial body work done, not glazed yet. Getting some sanding done. All we're going to sand today is the sides of it. There's no reason to sand all this, then prime it and have that overspray over there, and then re-sand it again. We're going to sand down these fenders. We got to get all this clear coat peeled back to where it's safe, and in some cases that's quite a bit. A lot of times you end up stripping the whole damn thing. We're getting the sides all done here. A little bit of body work I got to do on this door yet. That's all going to be glazing work though. There's just slight little dents, so those will be glazing. And then as you can see back here, the fat panel and all of this done in glazing. That's the red. And then there's the body work that still needs glazing. And it isn't that glazing is red. glazing comes out of the tube, usually white or off-white. Same with bodywork, it's anywhere from gray to gold. But once you mix the hardeners with it, that's where you get your color. And so a lot of times, especially if I'm gonna film it, I'll do my bodywork in one color and then my glazing in another color so you can see the difference. And that's why there's different colors of hardener. So you can see the difference between layers of bodywork. If you end up having a dent that's so deep you go over it 2 or 3 times and you do it in a different color every time, then you can see exactly where you've sanded to. It's easier to see where the old stuff is and where the new stuff is. It's a lot more intuitive if you do it that way. A lot of times I'll just run blue for everything because I've done this for so long. I don't need the extra intuition. I kind of know where I'm at just by feel. But when I go to film it, I do it in 2 different colors so you can see where the glazing's at versus the bodywork. Just like right here, you can see the bodywork under the glazing. Right here, you can see the bodywork under the glazing. Same with on the door here. And here's a pretty weird thing. I mean, I see this from time to time, but this is strange because the back of this truck is in what I would consider excellent condition. This has been a sweetheart compared to the things we do. But for some reason, 15 out of the 21 or 22 rivets that span the back of this roof cap, 15 of them are missing. It's not unusual to see 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 across the back of a truck, but it's strange to have a truck that's got no damage but has all of these rivets popped off. I mean, look, here's 2 in a row that are on. Here's 1 missing, 2 in a row that are on. And all of these are missing. Here's 1 that's on, missing. Same with over here, just this side of that. All of those are missing in a row. What is that, 7, 8 in a row? And they're all just gone. That's strange. I've never seen that before. I mean, I've seen rivets missing, but I've never seen that many in a row on a roof cap, especially on a truck in this good a shape. Very odd. Well, I just turned the boys loose. Got everything sanded I wanted to get sanded. Got all the body work done, got all the glazing done, got all the detail work done. We're gonna be doing the side of the hood, the fenders, the doors, and the back, all in wet sanding primer. And that starts right about now. Now that I've got all the sanding done on both the fenders here, and I've got the shop blown out and the chassis all blown off, now I'm going to go ahead and get some primer on these guys, and then I'm going to prime the chassis, and then I'm going to get some blue paint on these fenders. Well, good morning. As you saw, we got the fenders shot yesterday. Boys are going to be here pretty quick. I'm going to go ahead and segregate the fenders from the hood with 1/8" fine line tape like I always do. Then when they get here, they're going to begin masking up these fenders. As soon as they're done with that, we're going to go ahead and get everything else prepped. The hood, the cab, everything else. Get all this wet sanding primer sanded down. I got the chassis primed yesterday. Normally you see me prime these in black. Especially when they're going to be black, but I just had some gray primer left over from another job, so I added a little more to it and went ahead and just shot a couple coats of gray on it. No big deal. It's going to get 2 coats of black paint regardless. And so that's all going to be on the agenda today. By the end of today, I'm hoping to have the cab and hood in white and the chassis in black. All right, I'm standing here at the back of the truck, and as you can see, there's some fairly deep scratches that I went ahead and glazed over, and a few little chips that I'd missed, just a few little details. This is the process, this is what I do every time. Before I ever start sanding, I get them all marked out. And up here, turns out there's 18 rivets. Only 1, 2, 3, basically, across the entire back that are still in there. While I was busy with my air hammer shoving these back in, a couple more of them popped out. The heads just popped right off, just effortlessly. They're just corroded. So yeah, there's only 3 across the entire back here. The rest of them, the other 18, all need to be drilled and re-riveted. What an odd place to have that level of corrosion on a truck that doesn't exhibit corrosion really anywhere else. Very strange. We got the fenders segregated off. Both of them. Now it's up to the boys. Go ahead and get them masked up. We're getting the front fenders masked up here. Coming along just fine. I just threw a sheet over this last night so it would keep the overspray off, but I could just scoot it in so we can step in between those and get closer to what we got to do today. And I'll probably just do the same thing when I go to shoot it here this afternoon. Here it is later in the afternoon. We're completely done sanding. Got everything scratched, got everything blown off, got all those rivets replaced, got them scratched. Everything's 100% ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and mix up some white primer, get that on the cab and the hood. Then I'm going to paint the chassis black. Then I'm going to paint the cab and the hood white. And then I'm going to very carefully and lightly reshoot the chassis in black. And just like that, it's first thing the next morning. I've already walked around the truck and taken a look. Everything seems to have turned out fine. The boys are going to come through the door here within the next few minutes or so, and before they do, I'm going to do what I always do on these trucks, which is unmask the fenders first and make sure that that went well. And if that goes well, then we're greenlit to get everything else unmasked and put back together. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Boys are gonna walk through the door here about any minute. We're gonna go ahead and get this guy put back together this morning. Well, all right, this guy's all finished up. Let's go ahead and walk around it and have a look. All right, this is a 2005 Kenworth W900. Belongs to the same company that I've done many of these trucks for. I think this is the 10th one. And when it showed up, it had clear coat peeling on the hood. A few little cracks and stuff like that on the hood. It had mirrors on the hood that we had to remove. And you can see there's absolutely no sign of them. Those are completely gone now. The emblems aren't on it because there was none on it when it showed up. They'll be putting new ones on it before they take it to an auction. They're doing some polishing. They put a brand new cover on here. They'll put polished wheels on it, brand new tires on it, even fill up the gas tank before they take it to the auction. Air cleaners have been replaced. Everything else is in really good shape. The back of this was as beat up as a lot of them are, but really I can't complain at all. It was kind of a sweetheart compared to what I've been getting here lately. So was kind of happy to see something that was going to be pretty straightforward and simple, and it was. Bunch of rivets missing up top, all of them but 2 or 3. It was ridiculous. Replaced all of those. Sandblasted, double primed, and double painted the chassis. Got in there and got all the details. As you can see. Two or 3 dents in the driver's door. About that many in the passenger door. Everything else, pretty straightforward. Turned out real nice. Should have no trouble selling it whatsoever. And here it is sitting outside. The outfit that owns it's going to be here about any minute. Done right there. Well, that's about it for this guy. Up next, we've got this 2009 F-350. And this truck only has 50,000 original miles on it. I picked it up in Billings and I got a pretty good deal on it because it needs some paint work. It's got some clear coat peeling up. It's got some other little issues that I'm going to address. Once I get done with all of that and I'm going to paint the truck and the bed both, then it's going to be for sale. Just as, purely by coincidence, this truck's going to be for sale before too long. Hey, if you like this video, you should take the time to hit the like button. It's going to help me grow this channel. And if you want to see more of what goes on around here, you should come see me at Facebook at Flash Industrial Painting. And if you want to see more videos like this, or domestic auto body, or gardening, or art, or any of the other many things we do around here, you might as well just take the time to hit the subscribe button while you're at it, because you know, we always got something going on. We'll see you guys around.